I'm Tanya Petrovich. I'm the Business Innovation Manager at Dementia Australia. We are the peak body representing people living with dementia, their family and carers. We provide education for the carers so that they get a better understanding of what it might be like to live with dementia and the impact that has on the person and how they can provide better care for the person. We use virtual reality and other technology platforms to ensure that we get good engagement and good understanding of dementia. In dementia care, one of the biggest issues that we hear of is that the way that the carer approaches the person living with dementia is the trigger for adverse outcomes. So in that approach to the person living with dementia, it's important that we understand good communication skills. So we focus much of our education on providing good skills, understanding of the skills for good communication. So, for example, we have a product called Talk with Ted.
Hello, my name is Ted. People come and help me with things I do each day.
Talk with Ted is an online learning application that is very engaging for people who work in the sector. So rather than give people the dry online learning experience that we often have, which is reading a lot of information and answering questions, Talk with Ted is actually talking with an avatar that's living with dementia. So you meet Ted, you learn about Ted's life story, and you have to engage with Ted in a very meaningful way to ensure that Ted understands who you are, why you're there, and what is going to happen next. What happens often in aged care is that people are so fixated on the job that they need to do, they forget to explain to the person living with dementia who they are and why they're there. So through this experiential learning, people understand that they need to get the task done, but they also need to engage well with TED. It's far better than the normal teaching of communication skills, because people actually put their skills through an experience and they learn from the experience.
Hello, Andy. Excuse me, what do you do again? I don't just let anyone come in and help me.
I'm a carer.
What Ted does is he actually responds the same way somebody living with dementia might respond. Artificial intelligence takes this to a whole new level and it becomes experiential, and we know how powerful experiential learning can be.
Talk with Ted was created in conjunction with Deakin University Applied Artificial Intelligence Institute. And we worked with the Institute over 3 years actually to develop TED. It was quite a big process because TED is an avatar using artificial intelligence to have a conversation, and that conversation is different every single time you get online to use TED. So TED is available freely online, and aged care workers can have that experience of talking with TED. Do maybe not so well the first time round, but the second time round they tend to do much better. We did a short pilot where we had some people do Talk with TED and others do traditional online learning. And what we found was the ones that had done traditional online learning, when we came back to them 8 weeks later, only 2 people could remember what they had learned. The other 80% could not remember what they'd learned. And then when we looked at the group who completed the Talk with TED experience, 100%, all of them remembered what they had experienced with TED, but they also remembered the 5 principles that we asked them to learn through the experience. So it's a much more powerful, interactive way of teaching good communication skills. And then in addition to that, people would speak about the way that they had taken that experience of talking with TED and applying it to their care of people living with dementia in their care setting. And that's really what we're all after, improved delivery of care in the aged care setting.
All staff involved in supporting people living with dementia are important in improving their quality of life. To provide them with practical ways to address day-to-day challenges, Dementia Australia created a mobile education program, Ask Annie. Annie has specialised knowledge and skills. She's here to help others in similar roles to deliver quality care. With her guidance, users can easily navigate their way through 5-minute practical lessons, and they can do it anytime, anywhere. Education is visual, interactive, and easy to follow. Through videos and storytelling, Annie shares simple problem-solving strategies. Scenarios are based on real experiences and encourage workers involved in supporting people living with dementia to reflect on their
Ask Annie is microlearning on a platform delivered on a mobile phone. And it's really directed to aged care workers who are in the home care setting. So aged care workers in the home care setting, we noted, did not have a lot of time to come in for education in a workshop setting. So they don't have 3 hours where they can take off and come to a workshop to do their learning. So therefore, we thought, how do we bring the learning to them and how do we make that learning accessible? And that's why we decided that the mobile application for a home and community worker was the best way to go, because they are often in people's homes or in community settings where they might actually have some downtime between clients, or in fact with a client who might be at an appointment, say a doctor's appointment, and the carer might have 5 or 10 minutes in which they could actually get onto the platform and do some learning, which is why we've created a micro lesson so that they can do it in 5 minutes or 10 minutes. They can get some learning that's very practical and real scenarios that they see and encounter every day. And they can take from that learning some really practical skills that they can immediately apply. So Ask Annie, we found, has had a fabulous uptake. We've got over 15,000 downloads to date. And the feedback we're getting from the learning is really positive. People really relate to Annie because she's an aged care worker like they are, and the stories or the scenarios that we use to engage the learners are very real and indicative of what they see and experience each day. Dementia Australia has gifted 22 lessons from Ask Annie to the aged care sector following the horrendous few years that the sector's experienced with COVID. We found that aged care workers have really had extraordinary sacrifices in delivering care services across the last few years, having been in lockdown, not only in their personal lives, but also in the facilities, trying to ensure the safety of the people they care for. So to give back and support the sector, we decided to give the 22 lessons to the aged care workers to support them during that time and support the work that they do. I think it's been extraordinarily difficult for them, on top of some of the negativity that came out of the Royal Commission as well. We want to, give back and celebrate the work that the aged care workers do, which unfortunately does not get recognised enough. Winning the Future of Ageing Awards has been tremendously inspiring. We are so grateful to be the recipients of those awards. It's not what drives our work, I've got to say. What drives our work is improving the lives of people living with dementia, and anything we can do that can better provide care for people is absolutely what drives us every day. But to be recognised for the work that we're doing through these awards by our peers is just really humbling, and really we are so grateful to receive them. So thank you very much.